Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel where we learn to be a better programmer. And in this video, I'm going to discuss a question that gets asked a lot, which is what programming language should you learn first? Okay, before we get started, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications to make sure you don't miss out on future videos. So this question gets asked a ton. I see it on Twitter, I see it on Instagram, I see it on YouTube. Like, there's tons of YouTube videos about what programming language you should learn in 2020 or whatever, like some super clickbaity title, right? But the answer is, it depends on what you're trying to do, okay? So you can't really go wrong if you choose any of the following four languages. You can't go wrong if you choose JavaScript, you can't go wrong if you choose Java, C++, or C, and then you can't go wrong if you choose Python. Okay, so any of those are good languages. They have enough popularity across the whole industry that, you know, if you pick one, you'll be fine. You'll be able to find jobs. You'll be able to create web services. You'll be able to create games. You'll be able to do whatever you want, right? So the important distinction between these languages is that they are good at certain things, right? So if you want to make a game or anything, yeah, sure, you can make it in Java. You can make it in Python. You can make it in JavaScript. But any computationally intensive game like Apex Legends or Call of Duty or any console game is written in C or C++. And that's because C and C++ are really low-level languages, meaning they're very close to the hardware, and you can really compile things and optimize things to run really, really fast. So for computationally intensive applications like high-performance trading or high-frequency trading, game making, like supercomputing research, all of that's done in C and C++. All of the machine learning libraries are written in, like TensorFlow, for example, has a Python API, but the under the hood is written in C and C++. So anything that needs to happen like really fast and crunch a lot of numbers very quickly, you'll find that C and C++ are your go-to for that. So let's talk about Python. Python is extremely easy to learn, right? Because it was written with readability as a priority, okay? So when you think of Python, there's no semicolons, there's very little use of parentheses. It uses indentation as a way to determine the scoping of variables. There's only two data types, or three data types. There's only string, int, and float. Super easy. You don't need to know it, like what type your variables are, like when you declare them or instantiate them. So it's very straightforward. You can learn, like I've learned and forgotten Python like 3 or 4 times, just because I only use it when I absolutely need to. So Python's a good option as well. So now let's move on to JavaScript. So JavaScript is an important language to learn if you want to learn how to make front-end web applications, right? So JavaScript is the language of the browser. Okay, so if you want to give interactivity to your web page, then you use JavaScript. And so recently with Node.js, you can actually write server code in JavaScript. So if you learn JavaScript and your goal is to become a full stack web developer, you can do that with just learning JavaScript, right? So you can make your web pages in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and then you can write your server-side code in Node.js. And then that's perfect. But also remember, so a lot of people don't really realize this, but Node.js, the runtime, is written in C and C++. So that's an interesting fact there. So C and C++, basically all these languages build on top of it. It's the same with Python as well. So the Python interpreter is written in C and C++. So let's talk about Java. Java is a great language. It's multi-purpose. You can make games, you can make websites, you can make web servers, you can do a whole lot with it. Also, you can make Android apps with it. Like if you want to learn Android, might want to learn it in Java or Kotlin. Kotlin is very similar to Java. It runs on the JVM. But Java is a strong language in that it teaches you, it bridges kind of this gap between being hyper low level like C and C++ and being like Python and JavaScript with those higher level abstractions, okay? So you can do a lot with Java, and it forces you to be in the middle of both, of Python and C and C++. So it has some language features of C and C++, like you need to have a semicolon, you need to have, you need to declare your variables ahead of time, you need to have type declarations and all that stuff. But it's also relatively easy to read. Like it's very straightforward to like know what's going on when you write Java code and read Java code. So one big thing about Java is it will force you to understand object-oriented principles if you learn how to write Java the right way. Because everything's a class, then it forces you to think in terms of a class hierarchy. So if you create a farm, then every farm is going to have a set of animals or whatever. So you're going to have a top-level farm class, and then you're going to have some like cow class, and so on and so forth, and all that stuff. So it forces you to figure out how your code is going to be organized in an object-oriented fashion. All right, so the biggest takeaway I think I can give you with this video is that it doesn't really matter what language you learn. What matters is what you're trying to accomplish. Okay, so if you want to be a full-stack web developer, I think you could do well. You could kind of kill two birds with one stone with JavaScript. Okay, if you want to do like desktop applications or back-end server-side development, Java would be a good solution as well. A lot of companies still use Java as their back-end. I know that the MLB's streaming service is run off of Java 6 actually, last time I heard, which was a couple years ago, so they might have gone forward. C and C++ if you want to do game development, do scientific research, do stuff like that. You want to do machine learning. Python is very good if you want to do machine learning. So just remember that all machine learning libraries are kind of written at a lower level in terms of C++, C and C++, but they have a higher level abstraction or API with Python. Okay, so I hope you took something out of this, and I hope it might help you make some decisions going forward on like what language you should learn first. I think all of these languages, they vary in terms of quote-unquote difficulty, in terms of getting things right. But I don't want that to deter you from learning a language. I think if you learn C and C++, you'll really learn to understand how a computer works, and then it'll literally make Java, Python, JavaScript all seem really straightforward. Like my story is like I learned C. So I learned Java in grad school, and then my job out of grad school was basically only C and C++. And I hadn't written Java in like 2 or 3 years when I started my new job, and I picked Java right up without any problem. Like I said, I can write code in Python, and it just feels a lot easier to get things right. It's a lot more forgiving than C and C++. But at the same time, I learned a lot while writing in C and C++. So it's definitely up to you. If you want to go like an easier route, definitely Python or JavaScript. If you want to have a very, like, all of these languages will give you a solid foundation, but when I learned Java, I felt that I could go from anywhere. Like, I could go to anywhere. I could go to C, C++, or I could just pick up Python or JavaScript. I remember I wanted to learn like how to write a front-end application using React, and I'd never written in JavaScript or React before, and I just kind of sat down and started writing JavaScript. It wasn't like super hard. You take all those type declarations in Java, and you just replace them with a var, and it's very simple. Like, you can use loops, you can use functional stuff. It's very straightforward. So I hope you liked the video. Any of those 4 languages would be great as a first language for anyone. If you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment below. If you like the video, please feel free to hit that like button and hit subscribe to turn on post notifications so you don't miss out on future videos. All right, thanks so much.